Mr. Darcy.
Corla, I have to say to the four of you, 4 TDs of experience, your cynicism is absolutely staggering. You seem to have collective amnesia. The Jack Lynch Tunnel, the Dublin Port Tunnel, the Lewis, the Terminal 2, all of those projects and other projects overrun, PPARs, all projects under the Fianna Fáil governments. You've chosen, you four have chosen to ignore. I didn't interrupt you, Deputy, not once. I sat and I took it all. So I did. The Philip Boucher-Hayes on radio last week had 10 projects overruns in the history of the state, and I'm not sure that they were all on your watch, but I think 9 out of the 10 of them were on your watch. So this isn't. I listened to you, Deputy. I listened to you.
Without interruption.
I listened to you.
Minister Darcy.
And I took your criticism, and some of it's fair and some of it's not. And I'm throwing some of it back to you. You can, I'm sure, have the opportunity to come back when you get the opportunity. Responsibility for the implementation of government policy and delivery of public services takes place on multiple levels across the public sector. In recognition of this, there is a well-established framework of accountability, responsibility and control and operation at each level. The framework encompasses the role of the CNAG as reflected in the Constitution. Public financial procedures are reflected in other legislative provisions, in structures and requirements for governance, administration and control, and in the institutional and financial relationships between Parliament and Government that have developed over the years. Article 33 of the Constitution provides for the Office of the CNAG to audit all accounts administered by or under the authority of the Oireachtas. It states that the CNAG shall report to Dáil Éireann at stated periods as determined by law. The CNAG role is to provide independent assurance that public funds and resources are used in accordance with the law, managed to good effect and properly accounted for, and to contribute to improvement in public administration. CNAG is also required by law to issue opinions on the accounts of government departments and public bodies which are audited by him, publish reports on important matters selected at his discretion relating to value for money in the administration of public funds, authorised under the Comptroller function to release the public money from the Exchequer for purposes specified by law. The principal legislative provisions governing the powers and duties of the CNG are set out in the Comptroller and Auditor General Act 1923 and the Comptroller and Auditor General Amendment Act 1993. Under Section 9 of the CNAG Act 93, the CNAG can examine the economy and efficiency and use of resources and of effectiveness of certain management systems, a value for money audit of certain persons. All departments and bodies which are audited by the CNG will be subject at his discretion to examination by him regarding value for money, that is, of the economy and efficiency of the operations and the adequacy of the management systems which have in place to appraise the effectiveness of their own operations. Under Section 9 of the 93 Act, the CNG can carry out such examinations as he considers appropriate for the purpose of ascertaining whether to what extent the resources of the department, person or fund have been used, and if acquired or disposed of by the department, person or fund have been so acquired or disposed of economically and efficiently, or whether any such disposal have been effected upon the most favourable terms reasonably obtainable. All reports of CNG are presented to Dáil Éireann and are examined on behalf of Dáil by the PAC, which there are close working relations between the PAC and the CNAG, and the two are quite independent both in practice and in law, of which I was previously a member of the Public Accounts Committee also. There is no doubt that the role and the levels of accountability required in government have evolved significantly over the last number of years. There are increased demands for greater oversight, transparency, financial disclosure and the management of risk and change. The current CNG Amendment Act 93 was developed with a particular focus as so far stood the test of time. My department is open to new ideas to reform how to manage large-scale public investment projects and to increase accountability and transparency across government. The Investment Projects and Programmes Office was established within the department in 2018. This was on foot of the recommendations contained in the Public Investment Management Assessment Report and a commitment set out in the National Development Plan 2018-2027. The IPPO is redesigned. The requirements in relation to the different stages involved in the process of selection, appraisal, approval and delivery of capital investment projects. It is intended that the updated capital appraisal guidance will be included in the revised public spending code during the course of 2019. More generally, the public spending code is revived on an ongoing basis to ensure that it takes account of the ongoing changing environment and to ensure best value for the public funds. I do want to return to the bill and the contents of the bill. The bill proposes to amend Section 9 of the CNAG Act 93 in order to insert another section, namely Section 9A1 and 9A2. The proposed amendment 9A1 of the CNAG Act states that the Comptroller and Auditor General may utilise the powers granted under this Act, and in particular the powers contained in Section 9 of this Act, to examine the financing and expenditure required in the construction and completion of any strategic infrastructure development where the development is in part or fully funded from voted expenditure of the Oireachtas. The proposed amendment of Section 9A2 of the CNAG Act states where any such development, as described in this section, requires additional expenditure not foreseen at the granting of planning permission or that development, the CNAG shall conduct an examination as outlines under Section 9. The Minister may prescribe by regulation the conditions which shall require such an examination to be carried out. While I appreciate the bill is well-intentioned, I am concerned that what is proposed in Section 9A of the bill appears to be already provided for under the current CNAG Acts. Therefore, it would appear that this bill does not provide any additional powers for the CNAG, but I look forward to hearing the views of members on the issue and will of course take the opportunity to reflect on those views. I have some concerns in relation to the proposed amendment of Section 9A2. This seems to potentially create a significant change to the independence of the CNAG. It appears to give the Minister the ability on a discretionary basis to direct the deployment of the resources of the Office of the CNAG. In this regard, it should be noted that the Mexico Declaration on Supreme Audit Institution Independence states that the Supreme Audit Institutions should have full discretion in the discharge of their functions, of their responsibilities. They should cooperate with governments or public entities that strive to improve the use and management of public funds. As a principle, what is proposed in Section 9A2 of the bill may be problematic, given particularly the Mexico Declaration on Supreme Audit Functions Independence. One of the 8 core principles in this document, Principle 3, states that a SAI should have a sufficiently broad mandate and full discretion in the discharge of SAI functions. In addition, Principle 6 states that a SAI should have the freedom to decide the content of timing of audit reports. This concern is further heightened by the proposed scope of this section. In practice, it would have significant impact given the limited resources the Office has for its value for money work and the proposed scale of the required work at the direction of the Minister. One possible outcome would be that the CNAG, in effect, could be severely constrained in the value for money examinations he could carry out at his own discretion. These would be serious, even fundamental changes to the role of the CNAG, and very serious consideration would need to be given to the impact of any such changes. And I would ask people to reflect on that section, please, Chair. At a brief initial consideration, there may be a cost to the Exchequer if the bill is enacted, as it would have resource implication for the Office of the CNAG. It is not possible at this point to quantify the estimated costs, but the bill has the potential to result in additional costs to the Exchequer. Therefore, it appears that a money message would be required in respect of this bill. The Government will consider this further in advance of any committee stage hearing. The Government will abstain from the vote on this bill at second stage. We will of course reflect on any issues raised by members in the House during debate and reflect on those views from the next stage of consideration of the bill. I do have less than a minute left, Lascan Corla, and the criticism is fair and valid in relation to an overrun of €450 million on the Children's Hospital. Minister Donoghue has accepted responsibility on behalf of the Government of Ireland in relation to this overrun. There is nobody pleased with this overrun. But the figures that are being quoted are not the actual figures in terms of where the project is. It was to be a €940 million project. There was an initial €450 million being added to the project. It is not €2 billion. It is not €1.7 billion. It is 943 currently plus 450. Those are the actual figures. There's an additional amount of almost 300 million euros to be added to the project, the overall project, which is to merge the 3 hospitals onto one site, put in place the ICT systems, and also put in place electronic systems so that the hospital is a digital electronic hospital. Those are the facts, and if people want to dispute those, well, they are wrong.